A news just coming in. The Kerala Governor Arif Mohammad has signed the Kerala Lokayukta Act Amendment Ordinance. Now, this proposed ordinance comes at a time where there have been several complaints of irregularities. It has been questioned by various people as to whether this ordinance, in a sense, essentially seeks to cut down the powers of the Lokayukta. I'm going to try and go across to Ashwin. Okay, we're going to get Ashwin in just a bit, but obviously this this new legislation that has come in essentially seems to suggest and take away from the teeth and the office of the Lokayukta. What we have been learning, of course, is that this ordinance has now been approved by the governor. The state government reportedly, of course, has not made a mention of this particular ordinance in the cabinet brief that it had earlier issued, but this has been a very controversial move of the Kerala government. Let me go across to Ashwin to get us a sense of how this could go forward. Now, Ashwin, there has been a lot of opposition to this this amendment that the government actually brought in, because the point that was being made was that at the end of the day, the Lokayukta should not be subservient to any government if he were to work, in a manner which is non-partisan.
Absolutely, the left government seems to be having certainly seems to be having a free run over here. As at the moment, the Section 14 of the Lokayukta Act has now been changed, and as per the new ordinance, it makes the Lokayukta just into a body which can recommend. That means if a Lokayukta definitely does prosecute somebody, a public officer, somebody who is a public servant, that is not the final one. Now that can be questioned by the Chief Minister and the people in the power. That means the government essentially can right now reject the judgment made by the Lokayukta, which essentially means the tooth and nail of Lokayukta has been taken away by the government, and this gives an easy run. Now, this is something very, very critical, because since 1999, this Lokayukta was enshrined in Kerala, and ever since then, there was, for the last 23 years, this has not been changed. And with this move, the Lokayukta, the tooth and nail of Lokayukta has been taken out, essentially means that the government in power will have a free run, and Lokayukta cannot actually, prosecute somebody. It all finally rests in the hands of the government, which will decide whether the recommendations made by the Lokayukta should stay or not. So another move which essentially takes away the spirit of democracy, and this has been done through an ordinance route. And that is the most shocking part. Back to you.
Well, yes, Ashwin, in fact, we have seen how there are several reactions to this particular move as well, where the Kerala government's proposal to amend the Lokayukta Act, in fact, had via this ordinance, had been called questionable and also hasty. And even though the LDF government is citing legal opinion to justify the proposed amendments, it does not give an impression that it is unseemly, a hurry to remove the finality attached to this entire provision as well. What are the political reactions on this entire move that you're also picking up? And Ashwin, stay with us. We have CP John, the CPM leader, in fact, who's also joining us here on the broadcast. Sir, we have seen how the Kerala Governor Arif Mohammad had signed the Kerala Lokayukta Act Amendment Ordinance. What more do you have to say about this? Several people are, in fact, calling it a hasty move by the government. And we have seen how the Kerala governor now, Arif Mohammad, has signed the Kerala Lokayukta Amendment Ordinance that in fact had drawn a lot of criticism from several political opponents of the government, where in fact they had seen and called it to be hasty and questionable. Ashwin, if I could come back to you, as we were speaking, what are the political reactions as well to this entire Lokayukta Amendment Act as well that you're picking up now that the governor has completely signed this?
Absolutely. It came into the signing happened just a day after the Kerala Chief Minister.
Ashwin, stay on with us.
The
Sorry to cut you short. We have CP John, the CPM leader, who is now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, what do you have to say about the governor now having signed the Lokayukta Amendment Ordinance that had been tabled? A lot of criticism that had also been drawn on this particular move by the government. Ashwin, if I could take that question to you, as you were saying about the governor signing the Lokayukta Act Amendment Ordinance.
Has signed the Lokayukta ordinance after Chief Minister has personally visited him at Raj Bhavan yesterday. Now remember, Chief Minister was in US and then he came to Dubai and he had just landed in Thiruvananthapuram, and yesterday at around 6 p.m. he met with the governor and insisted and spoke about this particular ordinance, the need for this particular ordinance. What is definitely shocking is the fact that the government has taken an ordinance route when just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ahead, there's already, the assembly session is yet to be convened. So the timing is also very critical. But in the Lokayukta, it's very important to know that there are 2 cases registered against Chief Minister himself, which is awaiting judgment. And it is such a juncture that this ordinance has been brought out. What is also very shocking is that the Lokayukta Act in Kerala was brought in 1999. And there was, back in 1999, we have been looking at these archives. There has been extensive debate. Now, this particular section, that is section 14, which takes away the power of Lokayukta, which essentially with this ordinance, what the government has done is that even if the Lokayukta judgment judges against a public servant, especially a minister, that can only be seen as a recommendation. The final decision rests with the government. That is what the essential of this new ordinance, which means that the tooth and nail of Lokayukta has been taken out. Now, the governor has signed this ordinance. Earlier, the opposition had met with the governor, stating that since this Lokayukta is such an important aspect and the ordinance must be ascended even to the President of India because it carries of so much of weightage, and that was also requested by the opposition in Kerala. However, Kerala governor has clearly rejected all these requests made by the opposition. He has went ahead to sign it after Chief Minister personally went to Raj Bhavan and convinced him, stating that he has got legal opinion in this matter and that Kerala Lokayukta ordinance must be brought in. So certainly a big easy lever which has been provided to the left government.
Parties in fact have also suggested that the proposal may be linked to the ongoing inquiries by the Lokayukta against the members of the cabinet. We will keep a close track of that story for the moment. Thank you.